Most popular songs live many lives. They're demoed, they're recorded, sometimes they're re-recorded to varying levels of success. This is the story of one song that became a hit, and then 3 years later, a masterpiece. Ain't No Mountain High Enough was written in 1966 by the legendary songwriting duo of Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Essentially their entry into Motown. It was a huge hit for Marvin Gaye and Tami Terrell in 1967, cracking the Billboard Top 20 and reaching number 3 on the R&B charts. 3 years later, in 1970, Ashford and Simpson, now producing Diana Ross, remade one of their biggest hit songs into a masterpiece, completely changing not only the feel of the song, but the sound and the message it conveys. Now, before I start comparing these two versions, it's definitely worth mentioning that Diana Ross and the Supremes did a version of this song alongside the Temptations in 1968. It stays pretty true to the original version, but you can clearly hear that that's Carol Kaye on the bass. It's cool to hear her take on this song, but the bassist on these two versions was the great James Jamerson. It's absolutely true that different keys have different sounds. The Gaye and Terrell version of Ain't No Mountain is based around the sounds of B minor. Traditionally, this key is calm, it's idyllic, it's peaceful, happy. The Diana Ross version moves it up a half step to a C minor sound. This key tends to sound more grave, but eternal. It implies love, but also unhappiness at the same time. Beethoven wrote a lot of music in C minor. That should give you a hint about the message of the song this time around. Dig that. We're pretty much thrown right into the verse from the beginning of the song. The groove of this song is based around that ticky-ticky-tack figure played by the great drummer Uriel Jones. And that chiming sound you hear of the chords is played by an instrument called a celeste. Yes, the first sound you hear on this version is a string section along with an electric bass playing an A flat way up high in the neck. It's lush and it's striking, and it begins this slow build that happens over the next 6 minutes. And unlike the 67 version, Diana's version starts with the chorus and not the verse. Diana's version is much slower, 34 clicks to be exact. This shifts the emphasis from a brisk and danceable 8th note rhythm to a more laid-back 16th note based one. Listen to that tambourine and how hot it is in the mix. that is setting the groove for everybody. We're also hearing the same chorus, the chorus from the original version.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
But now without words. They actually don't say the words, ain't no mountain high enough, until 4 minutes into the song. This build I mentioned is also helped by the fact that Diana is not singing the verses. She's speaking the lyrics.
If you need me, call me.
Nick Ashford was a genius. He added additional lyrics that really deepened the meaning of the song overall. Both versions trade verses and choruses, and then we get to one of the biggest differences between them, the bridge. Now, this one has a great little bridge that uses a lot of the same lyrical and harmonic ideas that we've already heard to this point. And this takes us to a simple modulation that goes up 1/2 step. The last verse and chorus are now in C minor. This is a technique that's used in a million pop songs to give it lift at the end. Jamerson is playing with so much space on this version. The orchestra, which was arranged by the great Paul Reiser, is fully involved in every aspect of this song, and Jamerson is playing in tandem with them. His parts are more orchestrated to leave room for everyone else. This is a good rule of thumb for bass players. The more musicians involved, the simpler you should play. These chords and lyrics are completely different from the first version. First of all, they literally go up. They are ascending from A flat. Secondly, there's all these really cool common tones that are tying all these chords together. Even though they're climbing, there are certain notes like E flat that stay the same for each chord. And let's not forget the new lyric here, which says, "And if you should miss my lovin' one of these old days, if you should ever miss the arms that used to hold you so close, or the lips that used to touch you so tenderly, just remember what I told you the day I set you free." Wow. This was a happy love song in 1967 when Marvin Gaye and Tami Terrell sang it. Diana Ross's version, however, is clearly about not being with someone you love, about losing someone you love, about hoping for something that's gone. And this is where Diana's version hits its climax. And instead of a simple modulation like the original does, Diana's goes up a minor third and to the relative major. That makes this become this. Wow. What was sad, pensive, and building now becomes something triumphant, glorious, hopeful. And if you listen closely, you can finally hear Jamerson start to cut loose a little bit. special attention to those vocals at the end. That's Jossie Joe Armstead on top, taking this part of the song into the sky. Diana's version of Ain't No Mountain hit #1 on the pop and R&B charts in 1970. And there are still people today that don't know that these are both two amazing versions of the same song. My wife and I actually have a running argument. She loves the Marvin Gaye Tami Terrell version, and I'm a little more partial to the Diana Ross version, if you couldn't already tell. It is definitely a masterpiece in music making, so go get some headphones and check it out.